Sleet unzipped itself across the morning sky as I clipped my courier badge to my windbreaker and wheeled my bike out of the alley behind Resonant Labs. The company's cobalt blue logo, an ear with wings, glowed through the drizzle on every loading crate in their shipping bay. A month earlier, Resonant had lofted from pre-seed obscurity to viral sensation with the launch of Whisperbuds, the first consumer earbuds that could translate non-human brainwaves into human language. They were supposed to be a joke. At least that's how I'd thought of them after the first press videos. Over-dignified beagles whining about bacon in a posh BBC narrator's voice. A cat issuing blistering monologues on personal space. Then the stock sold out in 27 minutes, and couriers like me were booked solid, delivering overnight parcels to venture capitalists, reaction streamers, and minor royalty. I'd never actually tried the buds. Resonant demanded you sign a mountain of NDAs if you so much as peeked at them, and I'd kept my head down. That morning, though, dispatch flagged me for a white glove special across Midtown. 6 packages, 5 hours, holiday pay bonus. I scanned the manifest while balancing my coffee on a warehouse pallet. Order number 3416, top of the list, was to be hand-delivered to the penthouse of the Argonne, an Edwardian pile famous for its gargoyles that supposedly hissed when the moon was right. "Don't dawdle," said Vera, the floor manager, tossing me a vacuum-sealed clamshell the size of a glasses case. The client paid for scheduled unboxing on a live stream at noon. Also, you'll need to sign this. She slid over the NDA on a tablet. "Why? I'm not even opening it," I said. "Because there was a firmware update last night. Signal drift. If you catch stray transmissions en route, you keep your mouth shut until legal clears the transcript." My eyebrows jumped. "So the buds can pick up thoughts outside the user now?" "Accidentally," Vera grated. "Put it in a Faraday pouch if you're squeamish." I wasn't squeamish. I was curious. Still, I stuffed the clamshell inside the special pouch, zipped my bag, and pedaled into traffic. The sleet turned to needling rain as I threaded between buses and food trucks. When I stopped at a red on 12th, a pigeon landed on my handlebars, cocked his head, and stared at me with round horror movie eyes. Tame birds did that sometimes. Urban Darwinism had raised a generation unafraid of wheels or fists. But this one felt different. He seemed to be waiting for something. Then the light changed, I kicked off, and he flapped away, skimming the rooftops like a gray boomerang. The Argonne's lobby smelled of pine disinfectant and old money. A concierge in white gloves escorted me to the freight elevator, reminding me twice that live filming would commence precisely at noon. As the lift rattled upward, I imagined my bike being ticketed on the curb and started planning an alternate lockup spot. Then, the elevator lurched, the overhead lights flickered, and something in my backpack chirped. Not beeped, chirped, like a bird. I knelt, unzipped the bag, and saw that the Faraday pouch's zipper had snagged on the clamshell hinge, leaving a tiny gap. The bud case glowed faintly violet. Static whispered from inside, rushing and retreating. But beneath it, I heard language, unmistakable. Vanguard roost reports, wind currents favorable, spirals of ascent, rally at sundown. A tingle marched up my spine. I slammed the zipper shut, the glow died, and the voices disappeared. The elevator clanged to a halt at the penthouse, and the doors parted onto a set worthy of a cosmetics commercial. White orchids, diffuser lamps, an influencer and her stylist examining ring light angles. I passed off the package, scanned her stylus with my pad, and got my obligatory selfie confirmation. I thought about telling her the buds were already talking, but the NDA's penalty column, $250,000, rolled across my mind like a billboard, and I kept quiet. Back in the elevator, I opened my route list. 5 more deliveries, all high-rise rooftops. A law firm, a drone racing club, a podcast collective, a luxury falconry spa, and finally Resonant's own demo theater on River Street. Unusual clustering. Also, every recipient either worked or played on rooftops. Coincidence? Probably. Still, my ears burned with the memory of that avian voice. Outside, the rain eased, but a gritty wind strafed the avenues. Pigeons wheeled overhead by the hundreds, more than I'd ever seen, gathering on phone wires like droplets of living graphite. They stared down at the city, and occasionally bobbed in unison, eerie as stadium spectators doing the wave. My second stop was the law firm, whose partners had converted their rooftop into a glassed-in garden where koi drifted beneath lily pads. The receptionist scanned my badge, guided me upstairs, and began bragging about their pro bono cases. I kept half an ear on her and half on the breeze clattering against the greenhouse frame. Snatches of conversation seeped through. Some of thermals. We petitioned the old stone sentinels. First claimed the air, then the grain. I excused myself to check signal, ducked behind a potted bamboo, and cracked open the Faraday pouch again. This time, the voices poured out clearly, layered like a choir of coos. Brothers, loft your feathers. The winds have returned. Tonight we crown the city with our dominion. The gargoyle spirits have sworn the pact, talon and tooth, stone and wing. Let no gull nor hawk deny us. A second voice, raspier, vibrated as though it came from a throat too old for speech. We have waited 3 turnings of 100 winters, it said. Blood of granite, breath of frost. The human cities forget their guardians. We remember. I bit my tongue so sharply that iron filled my mouth. Rooftop spirits, gargoyles, and pigeons planning a coup. Had some cosplayer hacked the firmware for an ARG? Or could the buds really pick up telepathy from unliving stone? I listened another minute. Coordinates were being assigned. Flock captains pledged battalions. Mentions of grain silos and drone nests suggested strategic targets. The word crumb tribute surfaced repeatedly. A wave of nausea rolled through me. I'd spent countless lunch breaks throwing crusts to pigeons. Had I, along with half the city, been feeding an army? The law firm's receptionist called my name. I yanked the pouch shut, forced a smile, and hustled back to the elevator. Down on the street, I tried to place a call to Vera, but cell service had sunk to prehistoric speeds. My map wouldn't load. Messaging stalled. I looked up. 2 cell towers on adjacent rooftops bristled with dark shapes. Pigeons blanketing every antenna. Whenever a maintenance strobe flashed, their wings shimmered like scaly armor. I needed a plan. Going to the police with a story about avian sedition would get me a psych evaluation. Resonance internal line was probably worse. Legal sharks who'd muzzle me to protect IP. Yet, if the coup was real, someone had to know. The next 4 deliveries were all rooftops, exactly where the conspirators were rendezvousing. Maybe I could learn more, some proof, before deciding whom to warn. I biked to the drone racing club. The flights were paused due to atmospheric interference, according to a board attendant scrolling her phone. She took the earbuds without looking up. From the observation deck windows, I saw pilots arguing over lost video feeds, blaming solar flares. Outside, another thickening cyclone of pigeons churned against the clouds. Time bled. At each stop, I loosened the zipper and recorded fragments on my own phone's voice memo app. The rebellion's shape emerged. 52 primary flocks, each satellite linked via rooftop spirits who served as oracles. The spirits were ancient protections carved by masons to ward off evil. Only now, starved of reverence and offered alliance by the birds, they had agreed to focus their weathering malice toward a new order. At dusk, the pigeons would fill the sky, blot out air traffic, disable communications, and seize control of every grain store, bakery, and restaurant dumpster in the boroughs. Humanity would bargain for breadcrumbs under a rain of beaks and stone claws. It sounded ludicrous, until I noticed the quiet. By mid-afternoon, no seagulls shrieked over the river, no sparrows flitted in shrubbery. Only pigeons moved, and they moved with discipline, columns spiraling up drafts like geoglyphs. My penultimate drop, the Falconry Spa, sat atop a heritage hotel. Rich clients came to bond with hunting birds under supervision. When I arrived, the aviaries were shut, staff frantic, guests demanding refunds. The falcons had refused commands, wings trembling, talons digging grooves into leather gloves. According to the head trainer, they'd looked skyward in terror, then tried to hide under benches, predators cowed by prey. "These earbuds better fix it," the trainer said, signing for the delivery. I doubted it. But an idea sparked. Falcons were the pigeon's natural enemy. If anyone could counter an airborne coup, it was an apex raptor with dive bomb speeds of 200 miles per hour. Problem: the Falcons were panicking. They needed leadership. I slung my bike against a wall, cracked the pouch, popped one whisper bud into my left ear, and, ignoring the NDA clause currently screaming legal Latin in my memory, paired it to my phone. The interface booted in diagnostic mode. Target species, Columbidae. I toggled manual override and scanned for Falco rusticulus, the gyrfalcon at the top of the spa's hierarchy. The bud hummed, and I heard a new voice, tight with fear. Sky ripped, balance broken. Gray swarm steals the wind. I followed the sound to a curtained enclosure, where a white gyrfalcon crouched, feathers fluffed. I removed my mirrored sunglasses, knelt to meet its gold eyes. "Can you understand me?" I whispered. The translation algorithm gave my words a tone like low thunder. Talon Queen hears. "My name is Jaime. The Pigeons plan to claim the city. They've allied with rooftop spirits. Will you fight?" A ripple of icy command spread through my skull. "Sky is law. Pigeons break it. We hunt." "Gather your falcons, but wait for my signal," I said. "We need to disrupt the spirits first. Otherwise, the pigeons still control the air." The gyrfalcon ruffled, then screeched once. A signal. From adjoining enclosures, other falcons answered, notes braiding into a war chord that rattled windows. I left before the staff could ask why their birds had suddenly formed a choir. One stop left, Resonant Labs Demo Theater on River Street. I biked hard, wind shear pushing me like an invisible bulldozer. Above, the sky resembled coarse wool stuffed with gray shadows. Rooftop silhouettes, gargoyles, chimera, griffins, seemed sharper, animate. Resonance Theater was a glass cube perched atop their headquarters. By the time I arrived, the 6 o'clock product showcase had begun. Through the cube's transparent walls, I saw guests wearing whisper buds, sipping cocktails, laughing. A PR rep demonstrated real-time translation with a corgi who demanded more cheese in comic Bavarian. No one looked up at the massing clouds of pigeons darkening the twilight. I parked my bike, badge flashed through security, and found Vera arguing with a sound engineer. "Bandwidth's collapsing," she growled. "Our private network was supposed to be pigeon-proof." "Nothing is," I said, stepping between them. I explained the situation in rapid bursts, tempering it just enough to sound like a technical anomaly, not Armageddon. Vera's face drained of color, but she'd always trusted data over intuition. "Proof?" she asked. I played my recordings. Rows of pigeon voices chanting coordinates filled the anteroom. The sound engineer blanched. Vera swallowed. "If this leaks, worry about PR tomorrow," I snapped. "Right now we need to stop them." I gestured toward the stone griffins crouched at each corner of the roof. Their eyes glowed faintly, the same violet as the bud case. "They're amplifying the pigeons' telepathy. Kill their signal, the flocks lose coordination." "How?" Vera demanded. I held up the clamshell case. "Overload the spirits with cross-species chatter. The buds can broadcast as well as receive, right?" The engineer nodded reluctantly. Not a documented feature, but the hardware was capable. "Patch every demo unit to my phone. I'll feed it the Falcon channel, plus canine, feline, rodent, whatever noise we have. White out the psychic spectrum." In 5 frantic minutes, we synced 37 pairs of whisper buds to a master stream. I set the translation matrix to randomize languages and loop at maximum gain. The showroom corgi was still wearing his set, gnawing happily on a cheese cube. I pointed my phone at him. "Buddy, tell the sky you're coming for their snacks." The corgi barked. My earbud rendered it as a booming opera tenor. "All food belongs to stubby leg emperors." The griffin's eyes flickered. Through the glass walls I saw pigeons falter, mid-circle, formations stumbling like drunk dancers. "Now," I muttered, and texted one word, "hunt," to the gyrfalcon's earpiece, which I'd hidden against its chest strap. A storm of white feathers tore off the spa roof half a mile away, slicing toward Midtown with lethal grace. Smaller falcons followed, a living spear. They punched into the pigeon maelstrom. Downy bodies spun, some diving to escape. The sky turned into a roiling tapestry of gray and cream. Inside the theater, guests gasped, phones filming. The psychic feedback hit next. Gargoyle eyes dimmed, stone jaws slackened. One cracked, shedding a century's soot, as if disenchanted. The violet haze lifted from the skyline, but the pigeons were not wholly beaten. From the Argonne Tower, the grandest gargoyle, a winged lion, shuddered and broke free, scattering sandstone chips. It leapt into space, wings flapping with a sound like tomb doors slamming. On its back rode a pigeon with a red thread tied around its ankle, the coup's herald. Together they dived toward Resonance Glass Cube, intent on shattering the counter-signal. "Glass won't stop that thing," Vera shouted. I shoved my backpack into her arms. "Keep streaming." Then I sprinted across the rooftop, vaulted a railing, and landed on the maintenance catwalk ringing the cube. Wind slapped my hood. The stone lion closed fast, eyes like furnace grates. I had no weapons, only the single whisper bud in my ear. Inspiration struck. I switched the target species to Chiroptera, bats, and set volume to max. The bud began emitting a piercing ultrasonic keening only non-humans could hear. The gargoyle's palimpsest soul, whatever vibration animated it, recoiled. Its wings twitched out of sync, and it clipped a radio mast, sending up sparks. Still it came. 10 meters. I saw river lights glittering on its cracked chest. I yanked the bud from my ear and slingshotted it with all my strength. The tiny white lozenge sailed into the gargoyle's open maw. A beat of silence. Then the lion convulsed. Imagine every translated thought of every bat in the city. Squeals about moths, echoes of alley spaces, panicked map-making, detonating in your skull. The gargoyle clawed at its head, lost lift, and plummeted, smashing onto a parked cargo drone below. The herald pigeon bailed at the last instant, but falcon talons snatched it, red thread still dangling. The sky cleared as though someone had opened a flue. Pigeons scattered west toward the river, leaderless. Falcons regrouped atop lampposts, chests heaving, eyes bright as car-turn signals. A hush descended, punctured only by the squawk of police sirens converging on unexpected rubble. Inside Resonance Glass Cube, champagne spilled, followers peaked, and legal teams drafted fresh NDAs the thickness of novellas. None mentioned rooftop spirits or avian coups. The official story became rogue drone interference, with a side of unanticipated architectural failure. I spent the night filing incident reports, but when dawn seeped mauve across the buildings, Vera cornered me in the break room. She handed me a plain box. New unit, experimental firmware, bird-proof. Why me? Because you already broke half our rules and saved all our jobs, she said. Consider it hazard pay. I opened the box. Inside lay a single earbud, polished obsidian black, no logo. Beneath it, a handwritten note from Resonance CEO. Think bigger. I pocketed the bud, grabbed my bike, and stepped into the awakening streets. A lone pigeon fluttered down, landed on the handlebar, and eyed me. Its feathers were ruffled, pride dented, but it cooed with a note of wry respect. I tapped the new bud in my ear. Its thought translated crisp and clear. "Truce till spring, courier?" I smiled. "Truce," I said, and pedaled into the saffron light, listening to the city, the whole city, as it finally began to speak.